Hi there, everyone. This is Ninian Wilson here, one of the digital reporters at the National. We've got one of our political reporters, Xander Richards. He's in Holyrood today, and I'm sure he's got a lot to tell us about that and what's going on there today. But as usual, I think we'll start off with the front page. Xander.
Okay. I was expecting to talk about Holyrood. I was a bit taken aback by the theme tune there. I didn't realise we had a theme tune. We didn't have one last time I was doing one of these.
No, we
what
can
have
start
we
with
got on the
Holyrood.
front page? No, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
So the front page today is it's Nicola Sturgeon, isn't it, saying that she's confident that they are, I should say, are going to win a second independence referendum in 2023. There's a lot of doubts about the timeline still at the moment, coming from both within the Yes movement and in the unionist side, whether or not there's going to be time for the Supreme Court battle that everyone is kind of expecting if Holyrood does pass the legislation. Now, Nicola Sturgeon said that they're going to wait until after the council elections, which are obviously looming on Thursday. They're at the forefront of everybody's minds at the moment. Yeah. I'm not expecting to see any party leaders or anything around Holyrood today, to be honest. I know Douglas Ross is out. I think he's in the Borders today. I wouldn't be surprised if Nicola Sturgeon is out on her campaign bus as well. So it will be after these elections are gone, after the dust has settled and the seats have been allocated, that we'll really start to hopefully get a proper idea of what the next steps are going to be with IndyRef 2. So yeah, we've been looking at that. And also Craig Megan, our colleague, who's fast becoming our culture correspondent, has been speaking to Nish Kumar, the comedian who was dropped from the BBC and quite recently, I think, and there was all the hoo-ha about whether or not they were dropping left-wing comics. But he's doing a show in Glasgow. Is that tomorrow? So he's spoken with Craig, and Craig's got a really lovely interview with him. So they're two really good stories on our front page today, actually. What are you looking at today, Ninian?
So today I'll be looking at something to do with the ongoing works at Rest and Be Thankful, and just how that's been affecting local businesses, and also something to do with payday loans being advertised in public service broadcasters, because I know that's actually been there's been some real upset amongst people that have suffered with extreme debt from these quite predatory companies, really. So I'll be having something on that today. But I know that do you want to give us, just before we go through the other stories, do you want to tell us a little bit what's going on in Holyrood today, Xander?
Well, I'm here in the Scottish Parliament. In theory, I was thinking about looking at the Highland Council, so it's kind of not overly aligning today. But there's reports in the Press and Journal that the Conservatives are promising to break up the council, which is obviously massive. It goes all the way from John O'Groats down to Portree on Skye, encompasses... Well, I actually looked at the council quite in depth recently for the election profile series that we're running. I think I did read today's earlier, and I can't even remember where we've looked at now. Oh, it's the Western Isles, because it's the all-male council. It's Abby's. But I think the Highland Council one ran on Monday, so I was looking at the area for that. And, it's about 25,000 square kilometres, so about a quarter larger than Wales. Wales is about 20,000 square kilometres. So it is pretty big. It is pretty big. The population... It's not exactly small. Clackmannanshire Council is 50,000. The Western Isles is 25,000, and the Highland Council is about 230,000 people. So, I mean, you can definitely see where the Tories are coming from, which makes a bit of a change, to be honest. But hopefully I'll be speaking to Raymond Bremner, Pippi Hadley, some more figures out there, and seeing what they think the chances of the Highland Council being broken up in the next 5 years actually are. Here on site in the Parliament, John Paul Marks, who's the new top civil servant in Scotland. He took over from the departing Leslie Evans. He's making his first committee appearance. There's another committee looking at. I remember the kind of business of the day in Parliament later is all about the plans to potentially ban fireworks or at least limit.
Yeah, that was what I was going to bring up.
But it's alcohol harms committee that's being looked at. So, like the Lib Dems and people like that are saying that the minimum alcohol unit price should be put up in line with inflation, which obviously is quite steep at the moment. So yeah, we'll probably expect some chatter around that from the committees. But yeah, there's a fair amount going on. But as I said, the eyes of Scotland's political world are really on the council elections at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things, I mean, I think we probably know that the SNP are quite likely to come out, almost definitely going to come out on top. But really, who grabs second and third, I think, will be, if there's any changes there, I mean, that's a huge shift in the landscape.
Sorry, we're getting.
Sorry, just if there's a change
around here.
No worries. Just if there's a change between second and third, just as who's got the most councils, you know.
With the poll, I mean, it was a UK-wide poll, but being reported on, and Boris Johnson was asked about it on his GMB interview this morning. It's showing quite a serious decline for the Tory party, a loss of like 550 seats, I think it was, off the top of my head. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if there is a slip off in the Tory vote. I mean, the 2017 council elections in Scotland, the Conservatives had really a barnstormer. They did really incredibly well, the best result in decades, and now they're looking at much lower. So they've got a long way to fall, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do drop off a fair amount.
Yeah, I mean, with all this just relentless scandal going on. I mean, it's just kind of it's being felt in the winds. You know, I think there's going to be a change. One of the stories that I wanted to bring up, actually, our chief political writer Judith Duffy wrote this morning, is to do with Priti Patel, Home Secretary, potentially being. There's preparations being made to take her to court over outstanding Ukrainian refugee visa applications that haven't been given. And since I think something like there's 800 refugees still waiting for their visa applications that applied in the first 2 weeks of the scheme. That was in the middle of March. One of the examples is that when I was doing some pieces on the refugee crisis, I was speaking to, he was actually Ukrainian, he's based in Glasgow, he's an immigration lawyer, his name's Alexander Boyd. One of the things that he picked up on was that families can't apply together. They can't, you've got 6 people in a family, you all find out when you get your visas at separate times. So you could all apply at the same time, and so people are making decisions whether they should go now and leave people behind, and it's actually quite awful. And one of the examples is that's being brought up in this legal case is that of a mother. She received her visa she applied at the same time as her daughter, I think, and she received her visa on April 18th, and her young daughter has still not received her visa. So I think just we keep getting these examples of how ill-thought, ill-conceived, and ill-executed that these 2 dual refugee schemes that the Home Office implemented. And so I think it's I definitely recommend people have a look at that story just to see how the UK government is responding to that crisis.
Well, it certainly wouldn't be the first time that Priti Patel's Home Office have found to be in breach of the law. In 2021, last summer, the SNP were actually calling for Priti Patel to resign, which of course she hasn't done because it takes a lot for a Tory to resign nowadays. But yeah, the High Court ruled that her decision, her Home Office keeping asylum seekers in Napier Barracks was unlawful. She actually told Parliament at the time, Priti Patel, that Napier Barracks had been adapted in line with and in light of public health guidance, saying that the site was COVID compliant. But there was an outbreak of coronavirus in that barracks. Almost 200 people were infected, and the High Court found that Priti Patel actually hadn't listened to the PHE advice or guidance at all, Whether or not that amounts to misleading Parliament, we'll leave up to you to decide.
Yeah. Actually, just maybe one of the last things we touch on for our morning roundup is just following on from that theme of casual attitude of Tory ministers. Boris Johnson this morning was caught out in a pretty good gaffe, mixing up Teesside and Tyneside, saying he was in Tyneside and he was saying it was great campaigning out in Teesside this morning, which is.
I was actually looking at that one, and it was Boris Johnson's Twitter account that made the mistake.
Yeah,
and I don't think Boris Johnson's right in that Twitter account. So, yeah, somebody's made a mistake in Boris Johnson's name. Let's leave it at that. But I mean, it was Boris Johnson that asked who's Lorraine during the interview.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've seen it, it seems like he's being serious. It seems like he genuinely thinks that they're gonna put these topics to Lorraine, and he needs to. It's honestly bizarre. It's bizarre, which but not a great look for a prime minister that's trying to convince GMB viewers that he's extremely in touch with them, and to show that he doesn't even know who their perhaps most loved presenter is. But yeah. Anyway, we can't be dragging on all day. So
yeah, no, absolutely. But it's been a pleasure, and yeah, guys, just if there's anything that you want us to. Anything you want to let us know, or any comments you have about what we've talked about this morning, your thoughts on the agenda for the day, please drop it in the comments. And stay tuned to the National. Cheers. Thank you.